Ludicrous to think we're getting half the truth today. We're getting half of a conversation. We're getting an operator speaking, and there's no interaction of conversation.
Sally Regenhart's son, Christian, died in the World Trade Center. She was part of the lawsuit that won the release of the 9/11 911 tapes.
I'm one of the 40% of family members who have never had a recovery, not one single piece of DNA.
Sally hoped to recognize her son's voice on one of the 130 911 calls that were released today.
Even if they were not identified by name, maybe the people they were speaking to didn't understand their name. Maybe there was such confusion that it was garbled. But you know, a mother will always know her child's voice, and every parent has the right to at least try to listen to these tapes if they want to, and to hear it.
Leo Andrecchio had the very opportunity Sally Regenhart so desperately wants. His brother Jack was one of 28 people identified on a 911 call, and so his family has the right to listen to the full call, but Leo isn't going to.
I don't want to hear his voice on the 911 call, because on that call he's like, you know, begging for help, and there's nobody there to help him. He was a kid who brought down so many people who got them out of the building, and there was nobody there to get him out.
So far, only one full call has been released by the parents of an identified victim. Chris Hanley was one of the first people to reach 911.
Fire Department 408, where's the fire?
Yeah, hi. I'm on the 106th floor of the World Trade Center. We just had an explosion up here.
Okay, 106th floor. What building are you in, sir? 1 or 2?
One World Trade.
All right. 1?
Yeah. Yeah, there's smoke, and we had about 100 people up here.
Hanley sounds calm, any urgency only betraying itself with his last words.
All right, just keep the windows open. If you can open up windows and just sit tight. It's going to be a while because there's a fire going on downstairs.
Open the windows unless we break.
Okay. Just sit tight. All right, just sit tight. We're on the way.
All right, please hurry.
Yvette Washington Montaigne was working as a 911 operator on September 11th. She's one of the few people who has heard the other side of these conversations. The memory haunts her.
You're getting calls for people that are telling you, I'm going to jump. I'm not going to stay here because you're not going to come for me in time. I don't want to die without trying to fight for my life. You're trying to pray with people because you don't want them to hear the fear in your voice.
Okay, just sit tight. Just sit tight. We'll get to you. That's all we can tell you is just sit tight. Okay, just sit tight.
On the way, but for the 2,749 people who died, too late. Mary Snow, CNN, New York.
More than 8 hours of conversations were made public today. Everybody was listening, and in a written statement, former Mayor Rudy Giuliani said the tapes bring to mind just how many lives were lost, but they also happen to be a reminder that so many were rescued and evacuated. We move on now. Tonight, freed American hostage Jill Carroll is said to be emotionally fragile a day after her release. The freelance reporter spent 3 months as a hostage until her captors freed her unharmed yesterday. But just today, some new video surfaced of Carroll during her captivity. On the tape, she says some pretty startling, positive things about her captors. Chief National Correspondent John King has been studying the tape and talking with experts about what's really going on in that video.
This is journalist Jill Carroll before her release. A video now on radical Islamic websites that for Iraqi insurgents is a public relations goldmine.
There are a lot of lies that come out of the American government calling the Mujahideen terrorists and other things. And I think it's important the American people hear from me. The Mujahideen are only trying to defend their country.
But did she mean a word of it?
Well, that's a question of, that she can only answer. But you got to understand something. She wants to get out of there, and she's going to, cross her T's and dot her I's of everything they tell her to say.
Jill's father, Jim Carroll, told her employer, the Christian Science Monitor, that his daughter told him in a long conversation Friday, recording the video was a final demand before her release. Jim Carroll said her captors obviously wanted maximum propaganda value in the United States. After listening to them for 3 months, she already knew exactly what they wanted her to say, so she gave it to them, with appropriate acting to make it look convincing. This video, immediately after her release, was recorded at an Islamic political party's headquarters. Carol made a point of noting she was not harmed by her captors.
Never threatened me in any way.
She's still looking for sympathy for the people who held her captive, and I think that speaks volumes about Jill and her mission in Iraq.
Sorting her views from anything she was forced to say will be one of the many issues in Carol's debriefings by U.S. intelligence experts, and it would not be unusual for her initial statements to change over time.
We've had incidents where people just become empathetic towards the hostage taker. So, you know, the bottom line to it is there's a very strong possibility she might have fallen into the Stockholm Syndrome. But again, let time take its course in this particular debriefing.
If nothing else, Jonathan Alterman and many others who study the Iraqi insurgency see a significant change in tactics.
The insurgency has gone from a sort of mindless killing of anybody they can get their hands on just to show they can do something, to a more self-confident series of choices about how they're going to act. For their audience, which is an audience of Iraqis, having an American say, I was treated well, I was treated with respect, is priceless.
I want you to listen here to Jill Carroll's characterization of President Bush.
He knows it was built on a mountain of lies, and I think he needs to finally admit that to the American people and make the troops go home.
But what it also tells me is that you're not just dealing with a bunch of unsophisticated gang members doing anything to get anybody to pay attention. These are people with goals, people with skills, and people who are making choices about what things get them farther along to their goals.
Jill Carroll will tell her story soon. Her father says she wasn't trying to help her captors, but had been taught to fear them. John King, CNN, Washington.
Now let's get the very latest on Jill Carroll's condition tonight from senior international correspondent Nick Robertson in Baghdad. Good evening, Nick. What do we know about where she is and when Jill Carroll might be coming home?
Well, Paula, throughout the day, we knew that Jill was in Baghdad. We knew that her parents wanted her home. We knew she was getting medical checks. We knew she was talking with U.S. officials here. But we have just heard from journalists who are waiting in Ramstein, Germany. They've been told now to expect a photo op at 8 a.m. in the morning German time. Now, it's at this time about 4 o'clock in the morning in Baghdad. In Germany, they've not been told this is definitively Jill Carroll that they're going to be seeing, but they've been woken up in the night and told to expect this. It looks very likely that Jill Carroll will be at that photo op in Germany at 8 o'clock in the morning, and if that is the case, that means she must be going wheels up from Baghdad, flying out of here in the very near future, if not right around now, Paula.
And Nick, you're reporting that she was seen by doctors today. Any update at all on her, either her physical or emotional condition?
Well, I think in her conversations with her very close friends that she's seen here, she's indicated that she's put on some weight while she's been with the insurgents, that they've told her to eat, and she has, for essentially out of fear, done everything that she's been told. She's eaten when she's been told, and she's put on weight. We really don't have a good analysis at this time, though, of her mental condition. We're not being briefed on that at the moment, Paula.
Certainly a woman who's been under a great deal of stress for many, many months. Nick Robertson, thanks so much for the update. And a quick note for all of you out there, CNN will bring you live coverage of the event in Germany that will unfold at 1 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning. Of course, for those of you living on the West Coast, you know that's 10 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to move on now to new developments in a series of beatings in Florida that stunned the entire nation. For the first time, we're going to hear from an eyewitness. What did he see that the cameras didn't show? And did he even bother to report what he saw? What's next for the preacher's wife, who police say actually confessed to killing her husband? And another debate tonight, does prayer work? Well, a new scientific story is really raising some eyebrows. You'll see. First, though, on to our countdown of the top 10 most popular stories on CNN.com. More than 15 million of you logging on today. At number 10, President Bush and the leaders of Canada and Mexico wrapped up their summit in Cancun today. As you probably know, immigration reform was high on the agenda. The meeting also focused on trade and terrorism. Number 9, more protests in Paris tonight after French President Jacques Chirac promised to sign a controversial labor law which makes it easier to fire young workers. Numbers 8 and 7. When we come back, please stay with us.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
Oh, where have I heard that before?
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
Take your Alka-Seltzer.
For 75 years, Alka-Seltzer's been dissolving away stomach discomfort and pain.
Feel better?
Oh, yeah.
Your life will change. Families will grow. Partnerships will be offered. And the unobtainable will be found. At moments like these, you need resources, both financial and personal. At Merrill Lynch, our financial advisors know there is something beyond just achieving wealth. It is achieving life. Total living. Total Merrill.
You think plans. Office Depot thinks paper. You think locations. Office Depot thinks laptops. You think how to build your business. Office Depot thinks how to supply it. And now through Saturday, get $3 off your next Office Depot in-store purchase when you recycle your ink or toner cartridge in-store. You take care of business. Office Depot takes care of you.
Taking care of business.
You need to get 3,000 sales packets to the trade show, print and mail the press kits, and archive 10 years of records. From printing to scanning and archiving to online ordering, turn to PIP to turn down the stress. PIP, easing the pain of business.
Tomorrow from Mexico.
Don't tell me how important illegal immigration is.
The issues, the arguments, the special report.
It's time for answers.
Lou Dobbs tonight. Tomorrow, 6 East.
Data is at 12%. I'm recording bass fishing on ESPN right now. We're hoping to get that up to 50.
I'm going to talk on the phone all night long.
Long distance.
Right now, there are hundreds of movie stars in my living room, waiting.
I will send my entire family pictures of my vacation, and none of them can stop me.
Saw 2, with movies that pop.
I want to play a game.
The extra feature, now on demand.
Let the game begin.
Order it, watch it, then keep watching to see enhanced scenes filled with movie trivia and insider information. Saw 2, with movies that pop.
Oh, yes, there will be blood.
Movies on demand, available anytime on Channel 1000.
Former President Bill Clinton, one-on-one. Larry King Live, CNN 9 Eastern.
Authorities say she has confessed to killing her husband, but no one has said why. Who will be asking her questions this weekend? What would you do if you were walking through a park and saw someone being beaten with a baseball bat? Well, the answer seems pretty obvious. We hope you'd call 911. But you're about to meet a man who was in that same situation and simply didn't make the call. And he just happens to be a witness to a notorious series of crimes, some of which were caught on chilling videotape. Our John Zarella takes us beyond the headlines.
Unforgettable, chilling images caught on tape by chance by a silent witness, a surveillance camera overhead. 2 teenage boys attacking a homeless man with baseball bats. The man in this attack, Jacques Pierre, survived. 2 other homeless men were attacked that same night. One died from his wounds. Neither of those other attacks was so profoundly recorded. But in the beating of the man who was killed, Norris Gaynor, who lay sleeping on a park bench, there was a witness, a human witness.
And what made me stop is because I seen him standing there with baseball bats.
In an exclusive interview, Anthony Clark told me about his witness to the murder in the early morning hours of January 12th, and a decision that haunts him. He was walking through this park after a night out on the town. He heard talking, stopped to listen.
I don't know how much time passed, probably like 5 or 6 seconds. Then I saw the individual with the, I call it the afro, that's how I can remember him, the little afro, strike the individual on the bench.
Clark is describing Thomas Doherty, the only one of 3 teenagers involved in the attacks who has long hair. Clark picked him out of a lineup.
So you only saw the one teenager with the bushy hair strike the Norris Gaynor?
Yes.
Clark says the other 2 teens were on either side of Doherty. The one on the left had short hair and a bat. Based on the video and other witness statements, that would be Brian Hooks. He, according to Clark, was goading Doherty.
Was telling him, like, egging him on to, go. I don't know exactly what words he was saying, but he was egging him on.
William Ammons, the one on the right, had something else in his hand, Clark says.
I couldn't make it out, and while the guy with the bushy hair was hitting the individual, he pointed it at him, but like in a point motion, his arm, and I didn't hear anything.
Police say Ammons told them he shot Gaynor with a paintball gun. His attorney says that doesn't make him a murderer.
The medical evidence does not suggest that, injuries that caused the death were in any way inflicted by a paintball gun.
At some point, Clark says, the three teens looked over and saw him. To make sure they didn't come after him, Clark pretended to have a weapon.
This is when I went like this. I went over this way and put my hands like this in my pocket, like up under my shirt, like I heard something, and then they walked by, and then I walked this way and walked to my truck.
So they were literally just a few feet from you
when they passed me.
When they passed you, so you got a good look at them.
Yeah.
To get to his truck, Clark had to walk by the park bench where Norris Gaynor lay dying.
I don't remember if he was motionless. I just remember I seen the blood, and I was just focused on that. I was focused on the blood, and then that's when I pulled my cell phone out and started walking this way towards my vehicle.
It was here, Clark says, he made a decision not to call 911.
You didn't make the call.
Nah, I know. I think about it all the time, but no, I didn't make a call. I didn't call the police. I didn't call emergency, anything. So.
Why?
I don't know, man. It was. I don't know. I don't know.
It was about 30 hours after witnessing Gaynor's beating that Clark called police. Clark himself had an arrest warrant hanging over his head for driving with a suspended license and a parole violation. He was facing jail time. But a month after coming to police about Gaynor's beating death, prosecutors testified on Clark's behalf in that case, and it was dismissed. Michael Gottlieb, who represents Thomas Doherty, says, quote, in essence, the state bought his testimony, end quote. If he had only made the call, Clark says, would Norris Gaynor still be alive?
The guilt made me come back to the scene, and wish I did it all over differently if I could do it again.
John Zarella, CNN, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
And we have one more thing to add. We were finally able to reach the family of Norris Gaynor, the homeless man who was killed. His mother, Georgia Gaynor, has this to say about Anthony Clark, quote, thank God he came forward because these boys shouldn't be out on the street. A murder case in Tennessee has also captured some national attention. Her husband was shot dead. She ran away, and when she was caught, police say she confessed to murdering him. What next for the preacher's wife? Plus, a surprising study about the power of prayer. Can you believe its conclusions? What about the people who don't? First, though, number 8 on our CNN.com countdown, a series of earthquakes shakes western Iran. The strongest one hit earlier today. Government officials say at least 66 people were killed. More than 1,400 were injured. Number 7, scientists say disease and very warm water temperatures are killing ancient coral reefs in the Caribbean. The estimates are that 1/3 the coral near Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands has already died. Stay with us. Number 6 and 5 coming up.
That can make our SUVs nearly effortless to use. A GMC engineer will find it and apply it. Introducing the all-new 2007 GMC Yukon with available power liftgate and one-touch third-row access. Looking beyond the drawing board is just one more way we engineer to the highest standard, professional grade.
First rule of business, never get emotional. But with most laptops, the rules don't apply. Panasonic Toughbooks are engineered to survive the daily grind of business. They're reliable so you keep on working. Wireless so you stay connected. Panasonic Toughbooks, powered by Intel Centrino mobile technology. Panasonic, ideas for life.
You can be a very knowledgeable pharmacist, but if you don't have good people skills, I care if somebody's sick or if somebody's hurting because they've lost a loved one. I want them to feel at home at my pharmacy. I want them to feel that they can rely on me. That's important to me. It's not about how much money I make or am I going to do better than someone else. It's not about that at all. It's about who you're going to save. My name is Melva McGinnis. I'm a CVS pharmacist.
Guess what my dad buys for his midlife crisis? Long-term care insurance. I guess it's like checked off his list, but come on. Live a little.
Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company. Insure life. Begin today.
Looking for a better hotel bed? Introducing the Sleep Number bed, exclusively at Radisson. Now you can adjust your bed's firmness and comfort for a perfect night's sleep. Radisson Hotels and Resorts. Stay your own way.
So my room can get a little dirty, but at least my environment's getting cleaner. Like, did you know that even though the use of coal to generate electricity has tripled since 1970, emissions, they're down 35%. Here, check it out.
You have radiant skin. You just haven't discovered it yet.
Aveeno Positively Radiant Cleansing Pads, winner of the beauty industry's highest award, with 2 sides to gently exfoliate and soy to cleanse and soften.
Discover your radiant skin.
Award-winning skincare from Aveeno.
The Tennessee preacher's wife, accused of killing her husband, is facing a tough weekend of questioning, not by investigators, but by doctors. Mary Winkler remains in jail tonight, and her state of mind is a top concern. You might remember she was arrested a week ago. Police say she actually confessed to killing her husband, but they haven't yet revealed a motive. Still, there are some hints that are just beginning to emerge tonight. Here's national correspondent Susan Candiotti with tonight's Outside the Law.
This weekend, psychologists are expected to begin examining Mary Winkler. Defense attorneys say they need to know whether she understood the consequences when police say she shot her husband in the back. Competency could be a defense.
Her condition is pretty fragile right now. We're concerned about it. Also, in a case like this where Mary Carroll's mental state at the time of the event is an issue, we want to have a forensic psychological examination done.
Her own lawyers call Winkler an emotional wreck. Winkler made 2 court appearances this week, both times her head down low, apparently trying to avoid eye contact during crowded hearings.
Is it your desire at this point to waive your right to preliminary hearing?
Yes, sir. Close friends say her courtroom demeanor is a far cry from the woman they know. Another friend who cried during a jailhouse visit with Winkler said the mother of 3 kept her emotions in check.
I expected her to be very upset, but she was very calm. She was worried about the needs of, seems like, everyone else.
By waiving a preliminary hearing Thursday, the defense prevented prosecutors from reading her alleged confession into the record.
We feel it does no one any good to hear bad things said about the mother of children. We don't feel that it does anyone any good to hear gruesome things about their late father.
Why Winkler might have pulled the trigger is still a mystery. Police and prosecutors won't say. And after getting their first look at Winkler's alleged confession to police, the defense will only tell CNN it confirms the couple had problems.
She is sad, she is bewildered, she is lost.
The couple's conservative church community
Vicente Fox and the Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist. Late edition airs 11 a.m. Sunday morning. Let's head up to New York. Paula's on, standing by. Hi, Paula.
Hi, well, thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being with us tonight. A side of the story you haven't heard before. Moments of a national tragedy frozen in time and now available for all of us to hear.
The eye-opener. Just released tapes reveal startling new details about 9/11.
Listen, lie on the floor. Everybody wipe the towel, put it over your head, lie on the floor.
Okay? Emergency workers overwhelmed by desperate calls for rescue.
106th floor, can't get to the stairway, can't get to the elevators.
And by the shock of reality.
Oh, God, the awful thing. The awful, awful, awful thing to call somebody and tell them you're going to die.
Tonight, the untold story of America's darkest day. Beyond the headlines, Mean Street, a shocking series of attacks on the homeless. Now, in an exclusive interview, a witness to a killing steps forward.
I seen him standing there with baseball bats.
Can he help bring a killer to justice? And mysteries of the mind, the power of prayer. What does the very latest science reveal about the healing effects of faith?
God is in me. God is taking care of me.
Can prayer really overcome illness? Also a story you've never heard until tonight. What exactly was happening behind the walls of the Vatican exactly 1 year ago tonight? We have eyewitness stories of Pope John Paul's final hours. That coming up. But we start here in New York. Here we are 4.5 years after 9/11, but in the city tonight, some of the scars are wide open again. The wounds painfully fresh, all because of words we hadn't heard until today. Listen to the tape I'm about to play for you. It has on it the voices of 911 operators on that awful morning after hijackers had crashed 2 airliners into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center.
Yeah, we have somebody just fell out of the window.
We heard that it was a plane that crashed into the building.
Yeah, I know, but there was somebody that fell out of the window from there, too.
Oh, my God. You're getting hit with everything over there.
There's no caller. He disconnected, but I want to give you additional information on it.
Okay.
He's on the 103rd floor.
He's at the 103rd?
103rd floor. He said that there are people getting sick from the smoke that's coming in. There's a lot of people he's thinking that they're trapped.
Tragically, as it turned out, they were trapped and they died. What you have been hearing and what we've all been listening to today are audio tapes of the 911 operators here in New York on the morning of September 11th, 2001. It took more than 4 years, a lawsuit, and a court order to get these tapes released. They only tell part of the story, but it is a part of the story we have never heard before, and it stops you cold. With more now, here's Mary Snow and tonight's Eye.
Fire department, dispatch 461, the entrance to the fire.
The calls began almost immediately after the first plane hit the World Trade Center at 8:46 a.m. Tuesday morning, September 11th.
You saw an explosion at the Twin Towers.
In the tapes released today, we only hear the 911 operators. The callers' voices have been edited out. Sometimes we hear the operators giving instructions to people trapped in the burning towers.
Everybody wet the towel. Listen, lie on the floor. Everybody wet the towel, put it over your head, lie on the floor. Okay?
At other times, the 911 operators are talking among themselves, sharing their confusion, frustration, and heartbreak.
Oh, God, but you be trapped something like that. We got the 83rd, the second World Trade Center on the 83rd floor. 5 people were trapped, went unconscious. I don't know what they're doing. And it's an awful thing. It's an awful, awful, awful thing to call somebody and tell them you're going to die. That's an awful thing. I hope they're all alive because they sound like they passed out. They were breathing hard, like snoring, like they're unconscious.
Even though the whole country was watching, the operators themselves couldn't see television. Their confusion is evident.
Plane hit the building, and there has been another plane that hit the building. I don't know if it's the same building. I'm not there. I can only go by what you're telling me.
Today, some families of the victims demanded to hear the rest of the 911 conversations.
It is